You have people in Ghana that would park their cars and take a public transportation. You know, the politicians, their kids will go to a Western world, get a degree, and go back to Ghana. Why would they leave Ghana? They have opportunities. Life is convenient. They have the cars, they have the house, they have the luxury. If they have the opportunity to live the lifestyle that they want to live in Ghana, they will pack up and go. Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel. My name is Marian, and on this channel I talk about God, hair, social topics, and show the world my overall lifestyle where I glow with purpose. Because this is a continuation of the first part, I am not necessarily going to go in with a quick word of prayer because it is part 2. If you haven't watched the first part I went in and explained the dynamics and the reasons why as a Ghanaian or as an African immigrant I am here, or why other African immigrants are here, or other immigrants altogether are here. When I say here, I mean in the Western world, America for me, in the Western world. And to put it short, it is opportunities. We are here because of opportunities. Whether you are seeking asylum, whether you are seeking a better employment, better living state, better life, opportunities are the reasons why we're here. I went in to explain the reason why it is very hard for you to get those same opportunities in another African country, or to get the same opportunities in your country of origin, and why it makes logical sense for you to come to a Western developed country as opposed to going to fight in another African country with people who are also actively fighting for breath, fighting for life, like you are from your country. Logically, the struggle is real. Anti-immigration laws, like language barriers, lack of opportunity for people who are even in the country. Nevertheless, you, an immigrant, going there as well. These are all reasons. If I am leaving my country of origin, I will go to a country that has been painted to me that it is a country of opportunities. I'm not going to go to other African countries unless that's my only option. I will go to the best out of the best. If I have the opportunity to get a high level education, if I can afford it, and if I can survive there, I will choose that place. If I have the opportunity to do great and do better, why would I settle for average? I will strive for higher. I will strive for better. Other African countries are not painted nice or beautiful because we're able to see the struggle they are going through. We come to a place where we do not believe that there's no struggle. First, you come to America and you will discover that every country has a struggle. It might not be as big or as prevalent as yours, but every country has a struggle. That's why for the immigrants that do end up in America or a Western country, you find them working very hard. Most of them, not all of them, you find a good amount of them working hard. Working hard that fuels the economy of the new country that they are in. They work hard because they know where they came from. They try hard. Of course, there are people who they came in with good intentions and then they went out. But a good amount of them, for lack of better words, a good amount of them work hard. I work hard. I am grateful for the life that I have, because if I was in Ghana, I would not have the same life that I currently have. So I work hard to ensure that my father's struggles in his work and just saving and doing everything he did to bring me here will pay off. I don't want any chaos. I don't want any struggle. So I work hard to ensure that opportunities that have been given to me, I get it. So that's why many people, if they have the chance, will come here. Some people illegally, some people legally will come here. So then the question is, or the continuation in this part 2 is, how come if we've been settled here or if we've made it here? I also wanted to mention there's also a third category, and this third category is the people who were born here. They don't know Ghana, they don't know their African country, they don't know anything. They were born here, they've lived here, all they've known is America. So it is very hard for them to pick up and be like, let me go back to Ghana. It is very hard. And I'll be explaining this dynamic in a few minutes. But the question becomes, well, you've been here for a while. Go back to your country and go help your country. Go back to your country and go live there. Go back. Here's the reason why it is a struggle for many Ghanaians, speaking for Ghanaians, and other African countries that are similar to the Ghanaian countries. So, for example, Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, those type of Senegal, like those type of countries. I can only speak for some Western nations, because not all countries are the same. There are certain countries where rules, regulations, laws are so bad. It is what it is. So I will speak for the Nigerian, the Ghanaian, those countries is what I can speak for. For me personally, it is because, one, I have been exposed to a lifestyle. Again, my father brought me here. I didn't fight to get here. My father simply brought me here. I am very grateful for that. But here's the issue. The lifestyle that you are living here is very hard for you to live a comparable lifestyle in Ghana if you are not super rich. What do I mean? I am currently in America. I live in a house where it is ventilated, a house with air conditioner, a house where I can sleep peacefully, a house where I don't have to fight for my life with animals or bugs, a house where it's genuinely safe. I have access to sometimes the latest iPhones or the latest gadgets. When I say gadgets, I mean device. I've never worried about food. Where's my food, my next meal going to come from? Where's my next income going to come from? Where am I going to get money to get food? It is hard in America right now, but I still don't wake up in the morning worried about how I will pay for fuel in my car. You have people in Ghana, and I have a sister in Ghana. You have people in Ghana that would park their cars and take a public transportation because for that month, 2-3 months, it is simply so much cheaper and economically friendly for them to ride a public transportation, for them to walk long hours to places than to drive their cars because of fuel prices. It is hard in the economy. So if you are going to go to Ghana, typically you want to live a life that is comparable to what you live in America. You want to ensure that there's some type of steady income coming in. You want to ensure that you live in a house or a home where it is air conditioned and ventilated. You want to ensure that whatever income, whatever lifestyle that you are living in America, you can live a similar one. Maybe not identical, but a similar one there. But I told you the average American can afford a car. The average Ghanaian cannot. Only rich Ghanaians can afford a car. And I don't mean a fancy new Mercedes-Benz or a fancy new Toyota or Honda. I mean a 2001, 2002, 2005 car. The average, the rich can afford that. The average cannot afford a 2005 car. That's realistic. The average person cannot. The average person, when they turn 16 and have worked and saved so much money, supposedly can afford a 2005 car, but the average person cannot in Ghana. So here's the struggle. Why would I leave a land of opportunities where I can work, have my peace of mind, to go to a country where I will have to suffer to survive? I wouldn't want to do that. There are a few people who are like, the discrimination, the racism, the struggle mentally, because that's the struggle in America. If you're an immigrant, it's just a mental struggle. And the struggle that you go through, of course, there are sometimes the unaliving of people and all those other crimes that occurs. I'm not painting Africans or immigrants as innocent. Again, there are people who can share and be like, Africans will come in and be like, you're stupid, you're da 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 da. These are hateful people. We have hateful people everywhere in the Christian church, in the African country, in the American country. These are hateful people. If an African has gone out of their way to make you feel little, that's a hateful person. That is not all Africans are hateful and da 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 da. That's a hateful person. We like to take one occurrence that occurred, again, the exception to the rule, and make it the rule when that's not necessarily the case. So it is very hard. Some people are like, hey, I've lived in America, I've done this and that. You can think about missionaries. I've done this, I've done all of that, but I will pick up myself and go to Ghana and serve. There are people in Ghana, in the suburban areas in Ghana, in the developed areas in Ghana, who will be like, I've done great here, but I will now go to my village and go work in a farm, or go to my village and go help people in need there. There are people who are like that, who are like, hey, I have been called to do this, or I have joy in this. I cannot stand the mental struggles in the Western world. I will go back to Ghana. It means that I will not get access to air conditioner. Maybe it means that I will struggle, but you know what? It's okay. I am willing to choose that life. That is a few amount of people. No one wants to work extraordinarily hard. That's a few amount of people. Even speaking for myself, I don't want to really go through that. I don't want to go through that struggle, and that is why I'm still here. Two, the people who want to go there one day in the future, speaking for myself, but we have to put certain things in place before we can get there. Again, as a middle class person in America, when you go to Ghana, you are poor. If you go to Ghana to live like an average Ghanaian, you will be struggling, you will be poor. So in order to go there and live a meaningful life, comfortable life, you will need to have an income that is not contingent on the government. The government workers, they get their money. But if you don't want to be corrupt, you will need to have an income that is not contingent on the government. If you want to be corrupt, again, corruption helps people to a certain extent till they are caught and everything. If you want to be corrupt, if you want to go through illegal ways, that always works. That always makes life a lot easier for you. Of course, if you're not lucky, you will end up caught. But if you are a godly person like me and you do not want to go through a corrupt way, you want to go through a faithful way, you will need to depend on your own money. You will need to depend on your own resources. You know, the politicians and all of them, their case kids will go to a Western world, get a degree, and go back to Ghana. Why would they leave Ghana? They have opportunities. Life is convenient. They have the cars, they have the house, they have the ventilated house, they have the money, they have the income, they have the luxury. If I have the luxury, why would I leave my country? They don't leave. They stay there because they have the luxury. Some people come, get their education, and still stay in a Western world because they prefer the Western world. If you've lived your life in a Western world and you are comfortable, why would you want to pack up and just leave if you are comfortable? Because one or two people said go back to your country. You wouldn't want to do that if you're comfortable. That's why I shared in my Why Others Hate Their African Identity videos that some people don't see the point in learning the Ghanaian language because they never ever, even retirement age, they never ever plan on leaving America. So if they don't plan on leaving America, they don't need to learn anything about the Ghanaian culture. They're not leaving. They need to fully assimilate to the American culture because that is where they will be for life. But the average African or the average Ghanaian, when they hit retirement age, they want to go to Ghana because at this point, they don't necessarily care about the ventilated house and all these type of things. Or they've built some type of income or some type of stream of income that is not only contingent on the government or whatever money they are receiving from the government. So they're able to survive there on their own. It takes a while for you to get there. I'm not saying that I'm waiting to retirement age. Of course, I want to go there sooner, but I still have to build up to that. You have to develop your own stream of income. You can pay for your light bill or your BGE bill or electricity bill in Ghana, but here's the issue. You can go multiple days without electricity, but the government has turned it off. You're paying for it, but it's off. Yeah. So you would need, if you want to live a comfortable life, if you want to have air conditioning in your house, you would need to have a generator there. You know how much generators cost? You know how much it costs to fuel it, the electric ones? You would need to have a generator there. That is another source of income that you have to think about. Again, if you want to have an air-conditioned house, that's an extra level of income that you have to think about. If you want to consistently have money, that's an extra level of income. If you want to be able to afford a car, that's an extra level of income. That's not coming from loans, barely, because you're probably not going to get it. So oftentimes people who go to Ghana and build, for example, doctors will build a hospital. People around me, that's the plan. Build a hospital in Ghana, a private hospital that is going to help them generate income and live a comfortable life. People build businesses, people invest in real estate, people invest in various opportunities, but you need to have some type of money, a good amount of money there in order to pick that up and go and use that and invest in that and invest to make something great out of it. And when people are able to finally reach that level where they are able to live a comparable life that they lived in America, in Ghana, they pack up and they go. You don't need to tell them to go back to their country. They want to go back to their country. We pack up and we go. We go and we help people in need. We go and we help practices. We go and do the bare minimum that we can do. And then we help others as much as we can. Of course, there are people in America who also help people in Ghana. Like we have families, parents, actively helping people, other family members in need. They're able to do that because they came to America. You get the money, you invest in something that is not contingent on the government to ensure that you survive. Internet bill, light bill, the average Ghanaian, their internet is going to be turned off. They can only afford a few, whereas my internet in America is always on. Why would I turn off my internet? I need my internet, but the average Ghanaian can't afford that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So you have to ensure that you have enough money to cover for your house bill, to build your house if you want to build a house, your business, your car, your fuel, your gas, what you're going to eat. And if you plan on giving birth or having a family in Ghana, you have to account for that. You want to ensure that they go to a good school, they get a good education, they get resources that they need. They live peacefully and they have a successful life. You want to ensure that that is the case. If you're a business-oriented person, it could go a bit easier for you. But if you just want to become a teacher, work under the government, that is a struggle. You are going to struggle. The Ghanaian politician or government will come and stand on whatever platform and be like, as a teacher, you can't just decide that your income is only going to come from teaching. You need to have other side hustles. It's not going to work. That's the lifestyle in Ghana. But in America, you can be a teacher and you can live off of that. Not a lavish lifestyle, but a comfortable enough lifestyle, if that makes sense. So if I cannot generate all these income, have a comfortable life in Ghana, and I have to work extra hard to have that life in Ghana, but I don't have to work that hard in America, why would I leave America, a Western world, a developed nation, to go and fight for a comfortable, I'm not saying a luxurious life, I'm saying a comfortable life in Ghana. That is why a lot of other Africans are still here. That is why a lot of immigrants are still here. If they have the opportunity to live the lifestyle that they want to live in Ghana, they will pack up and go, because I can speak my language, I can engage in my culture, familiar faces, familiar people. That is also why we go back once in a while for vacation. Most Ghanaians take their vacations in Ghana. There's a reason why we do that, because whilst we're going for that vacation, we have enough money to help us live a comfortable life for that 1 month, 2 weeks, 2 months that we are there. We have enough money to live in an air-conditioned hotel, to live in an air-conditioned house, to pay for the bill, to pay for that fuel, for that generator, to have that lifestyle. We have that opportunity to have that comfortable lifestyle. If we didn't come back to America to work, we would not get that money. So that is the reason why people typically do not go back and stay here until retirement age. But that's where I'm saying that it requires people who are willing to take initiatives and people who are willing to, regardless of all the corruption, go back and help. I want to also leave off with this. The corruption is so bad. It's literally like a mentality thing. Again, if you are not familiar with African media, you will often find out so many people who are in the Western world, developed nations, be crying, be upset, because all the hard-earned money in the Western world, they sent it to Ghana for them to build a house, for them to start a business, for them to do something. They will go back to Ghana and find out that their family member, their friend, that person that they trusted to do good for them, has consumed all that money, has spent all that money on useless things. If I'm also going to be honest, it's not just useless things. They are struggling. So when they get money, they spend that money as much as they can on things that they need and things that they could never afford. So I can't really afford to drink bottled water every single day. But now my sister in America sent me money to build a house. Let me just spend a few of that money on a bottled water or a nice drink, or to pay for more internet to use. And they spend that, and the next thing you know, it's gone. Again, the average Ghanaian will rather spend $80 of someone's money, or of a money that has been given to them to use to make a profitable project, and only use $10 or $20 out of that money to do that profitable business. It's the mentality. You can go in and build a business. So many people will come in and be like, I try to do good, I try to build a business, I try to help people, and they did me dirty. They stole my money, they robbed me, they never built it. It's hard. It's a struggle. You can't even trust anyone. You can't even trust your own family members. You can ask people around and you will find out that the average African, if they want to have a successful house, if they want to have a successful business in Ghana, they need to be going to Ghana at least once or twice a year. If you do not go in and monitor it, you will end up having nothing. All that money will be spent. Ghanaians have made so many videos, so many movies, so many articles, so much media content on the subject, because you can work hard to do good and that one person will come in and ruin everything, and it happens more than not. That's not something you have to worry about in America. If I give my money to a friend in America to invest in real estate, I do not have to worry that they are going to consume that. But you have to worry about that when you're in Ghana. You cannot trust that they would not consume that money. Again, for a comfortable lifestyle, but also to just spend that money or waste that money, because there's this poverty mentality. There's this, oh, I got this money, so I have to spend it here and I have to waste it here and I have to da. If the average Ghanaian gets money, they want to spend it on an iPhone, not thinking, hey, the iPhone is nice, but that iPhone is not going to get me far in life. But they want to spend on an iPhone because they have a very limiting mentality, a very limiting mindset. Why should I go build a business when I can just comfortably buy what I want every single day and not worry about a business in the long term, right? They think about today, here and then, as opposed to the future. And they also don't want to think about the future because the future does not really have anything good in store for them. If they're not lucky, they're going to employ someone who's going to steal their resources. Imagine if you have a retail store in Ghana. If you are not careful, every single thing in that retail store will be stolen, sold off by that main person that you hired to look after that retail store. You have to be physically there to monitor things in Ghana. If you're not physically there, if you're not aware, if you do not have God, you will lose everything that you have built, and it is so dangerous and it's so scary. But people, when they have God and they trust in a faithful Father, are willing to make that initiative. Whilst you're busy trying to make that initiative, someone is busy trying to ruin it. And I also want to leave off with this. People will try to vote for a good government candidate, a good politician, but then the corrupt one will come in and give people, I don't know, $10 or people a bag of rice. And all these people will go in and vote for this corrupt person. When this corrupt person comes in position and is stealing the money and not fixing roads and not doing as they promised, now you're upset. Well, the good people who saw that this other good person could have done something great tried to tell you guys, but you guys decided that a bag of rice and $10 was more important here and then, was more important than the future. That's how the average Ghanaian, probably the average politician, the average Ghanaian, probably the average immigrant thinks when they live in Ghana. You think about what you will do to survive today and not the future. They don't care about saving. Like, there's no trust in the country. And when there's no trust in the country, what can you do there other than ensure that you are able to make it on your own? So one day when I am able to make it on my own, which I am working towards there for it to be a lot sooner than not, I too will go and make a difference in my home country, Ghana. That is why I want to hold on to my culture. That is why I want to preserve the identity that I have. That is why I engage in my Ghanaian activities, Ghanaian endeavors, because I do not plan on 24/7 living in the United States. I do plan that one day I will go back and serve God there and make a difference. So when the question comes, why are you still in America? Why don't you go back to your country? Why don't you stay in your country? Well, if it was very convenient for me to do so, I would, or I would go back. It's not convenient yet. Or sometimes it's just not convenient for whatever lifestyle that person wants to live at all. And people have the right and opportunity to make their own decisions as long as it is not affecting others. And people will come in and be like, well, it is affecting that and that. If you go in and you read data and you read research, you will find otherwise. As long as the person is not actively committing like crimes or doing anything terrible, the person is there to survive. The person is there to live a comfortable lifestyle as much as they can. If they could have the same opportunity, they would, and they would go back. But unfortunately, they can't due to various reasons, due to not really wanting to work extraordinarily hard. So if someone is in America, they're not here because, oh, I want to be in America forever and America is great. Not that I'm saying it's not, but they're not here worshiping it or worshiping people. They're here because of opportunities. They have a goal, and that's what they're achieving here. And they're not going back because whatever goal that they are here to accomplish, it is not yet done. And that's why they're here. So that's the reason why I'm still here, why others are still here. I hope this was informative. Again, in my comments, if anyone comes in and makes argument or talk about things or just be very rude, things that are not research, education based, uncalled for, it's not going to be left there. It is going to be held probably by YouTube. And second, I will go in and get rid of it and probably block you from my channel. It's not a negative environment. It is a positive, God-oriented environment. We're making a difference. We're not dragging ourselves back. We're having an informed, respectful, research-backed information, not emotion environment. So I will see you down in the comments if you have any questions or anything you want to add.